Hello there, Commonwealth from here, and we have some proper Zelda news to talk about since the creator's voice that we have waited and waited for with Koei Tecmo, the developers of Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment, in Japanese Zelda Warriors, came with a 4-minute long detailing about Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment. It wasn't as much about the game itself, but more about game development and, what can I say, the possibilities that they can do. They didn't talk much about frame rate, but they talked about that they can put more enemies on the screen than they did with Hyrule Warriors on the Nintendo Switch in 2020, which shows the power of the Nintendo Switch 2. And what is interesting is that they also made it clear that Ganondorf, of course, is the main threat here. But what is very fascinating here is that they didn't show any more footage of Ganondorf. They pretty much reused a lot of the footage that we saw in the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct in April, and not so much, stating that in this Hyrule Warriors game, you will see how the people contended with the threat of the original Ganondorf. So this is actually very interesting, the fact that this game takes place during the Imprisoning War, and also the fact that it's going to be conveying, which is shown in fragments in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, the canonical point that it was brought up previously. I think they will not pull an Age of Calamity on us. I think that this will be canon. I think that this will become a part of the Legend of Zelda timeline, especially when it comes here. And also highlighting it doesn't just depict the battles of the Imprisoning War via Warriors game, which is important. It also shows the life in the Kingdom of Hyrule after Princess Zelda is sent back in time. You also get to know the 4 masked sages from The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. There are many other secrets hidden in this ancient world, so I highly recommend playing this game. This is coming from the developer straight out, and it's very important since this will allow, like, the 1 versus 1000 gameplay is not for everyone, no doubt about that. But at the same time, what really matters for us Zelda fans here is that it will tell the history of the Imprisoning War in a way that we participate in, and also is respectful towards what we saw in the memories of Tears of the Kingdom, and doesn't try to create history of its own. This is a game that also Zeltic pointed out in our discussion that we did. It doesn't need to be changed because the outcome is net positive. Yes, it's what I would call a Pyrrhic victory, with definitely sacrifices, but it's nonetheless a victory compared to what is the case in the Great Calamity, where it's just death and ruin and some salvaging. We did get a few new footage here, just some gameplay sequences, mostly with Rauru, when it comes to action stuff, because they wanted to illustrate that we can have more enemies on the screen, and we can see how fluid it is. It is definitely in 60 frames per second. It might be in 4K, and what's more important, we got to see the special attack of light or enlightenment from Rauru as he opens his third eye, the one that we barely saw in the memories of Tears of the Kingdom. And we can see how it literally obliterates the enemies. And the other part of the new footage that we got was, of course, detailing Zelda's arrival to this world of the distant past. And we can see how there will be extended cutscenes, but also gameplay sequences that lead us from and to exactly the memory cutscenes, frame by frame, that we remember from The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, as we can see here when Zelda walks up and sees the different Hyrule. This cutscene we all remember from The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And this is the kind of things that makes me so, what can I say, full of excitement for this game, because it will be something that adds a lot to the Legend of Zelda canon. In other Zelda news, Nintendo has finally confirmed that the 2 other games apart from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom to get updates, or Nintendo Switch 2 versions, will be the latest brand new Zelda game, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and the other 2D top-down remake, Link's Awakening from 2019. Naturally, these will be completely free upgrades. No Nintendo Switch Online, plus expansion pass, paid subscription required. But what kind of upgrades are we talking about? In total, there are 3 updates that are happening. Number 1, stability issues, making sure that these games transfer well over from Nintendo Switch to Nintendo Switch 2. Upgraded resolution and frame rate that will say 1080p or higher for both, and also probably in 60 frames per second, which will make the games far more fluid and definitely the best versions of the 2 games. But what is also more interesting is that it's also going to have HDR support. So obviously it's going to be on the Nintendo Switch 2 screen, since it has HDR support, as well as on our TV. Of course, it's only going to be if your TV has HDR support. But let's move over to our final segment, Nintendo Today updates, where we have actually two stories. Number one being on the new Sages Amiibos. After having Cholin and Yunobo, we finally had Sidon, and a better look at that Amiibo. I think it's probably the Amiibo of the Sages collection that I'm most likely to pick up, since it's Prince Sidon. I'm sorry, King Sidon, as we remember from Tears of the Kingdom. So yeah, definitely a pickup there. And the final news story that we have is more footage of the Hero of Time in Soul Calibur 2, that being GameCube Switch Online, a part of the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. I got to personally try playing as Link in, or the Hero of Time, during the Nintendo Switch experience in London, and I can confirm, yes, this game plays very well, and you have a lot to look forward to. And yeah, that's pretty much all the news we have. So if you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell, and for all notifications to not miss any upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 and Zelda video. Last but not least, a big thanks to you for watching, and to all our patreon.com/commonrealm patrons. Special shoutouts go to Raw Producer JC Funk and Heroes, Cheryl, Garrett Hoy, Holly Wolf, and Kintaro. You all rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos.